All right, I'm back with another video. Uh man, I had to jump on this real quick. Woke up, spent some time with the Lord. Now, check this out. Hey guys, we have our very first socialist Democrat mayor, the mayor of the largest city in America, and to add to it, he's Muslim. Okay? We are in for a lot. But this is New York. I mean, we in the South right here. The belief that this is going to spread to the South and other places, I don't think so. But one thing we can say is that New York is in for some things. So in this video, I'm going to cover a couple things that are pretty much guaranteed to happen in some way, shape, or form when it comes to this New York real estate market. But introducing Zoran Mandavi. Did I pronounce his name right? New York, you have a socialist mayor.
Mamdani won New York City's mayoral race on Tuesday. His victory marks a rapid rise from a little-known state lawmaker to one of the most prominent figures in the Democratic Party.
Tonight, against all odds, we have grasped it. The future is in our hands. My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty.
Mamdani will become New York's first Muslim mayor, defeating former Governor Andrew Cuomo, who ran as an independent after losing the Democratic nomination. Cuomo spoke as Mamdani's win was announced.
Congratulations to Zoran Mandami. No. Hey, that is not right, and that is not us. That is not us. Tonight was their night.
Mamdani pushed for progressive plans, from freezing rents on nearly 1 million apartments to making city buses free, in a race that served as an ideological and generational test with national implications.
All right. So rent control. We're going to stop right there. What's going to happen to that real estate market out there? Can we predict it? Of course. All we got to do is go back and look in history. History will tell us what happens when a socialist regime takes over and how they treat the real estate market. Why is this important? Because there's tons of investors up there who still own property, may flip some property, may have some property they inherit, may have some property that they live in that they're renting out. So we know already that whenever a rent control is always the first thing of the socialist, a socialist regime that takes power, they want to please the people. So rent control is always something that is nice and tingly to your ears. Now, a lot of real estate investors and real estate shows will not even talk about this, but I'm going to talk about this, okay? New York, 1940 to its present day, the rent control has made it almost near impossible to evict someone when they don't pay their rent. And then it's also made it where you can't make but so much off of your rent. It's rent control, okay? And if we look at Stockholm, national rent control, in 10 to 20 years, the rental market dropped and completely like dropped. It took Berlin. Now this is, people have told me, Leon, that's the early 1920s, 30s, 40s. That's not now. Okay, let's look at Berlin, 2020, 2019, 2021. Rent freeze, new housing halted overnight, supply dropped, policy overturned by the courts. They had to overturn the policy because new housing was actually halted. Now, are we going to see that in New York? I believe it's going to become more challenging and probably more expensive, not just to build, but to supply. Nobody's going to build where the profit is cut off, where they know they can only make but so much money. And yeah, this is about money because we are in a capitalist society. I do believe that it is the responsibility of the individual, whether we're entrepreneurs, whether we are church clergy, however it may be, running organizations, whatever it may be, our responsibility to the overall public starts within the realm of our skills and our talents that we bring to the market. So, what does that mean? That means if you're an investor and you know how to invest and find good quality properties, okay, yeah, take care of the people that you are renting the property to. Give them quality housing, okay? And we do see there are slumlords, but there are also people who care, people who take care of their property, okay? I'm gonna do a plug right now for Live Free Give Hope, where they're giving away a 1 bedroom, 1 bath in the state of Georgia, in Atlanta. Just go to 12monthfreerent.com. That's 12-month free rent. Matter of fact, I'm gonna put that banner right there on the top so you can actually see 12monthfreerent.com. Why is that important? Because in 12monthfreerent.com, you can actually go there, you can rent, win in the sweepstakes. I believe that's a new way of doing business. Okay. But let's jump to this second point. This second point, government housing, the quantity over quality. So you may provide housing for everyone, but we've seen from the Soviet Union, Eastern Baltic, UK, the UK council housing boom, 1940s, 1960s. We can clearly tell you that with the increase of housing, there's going to be a decrease in quality. Okay. Zero incentives for quality. They don't give incentives for quality. Okay. Identical, small, cheap built locations. Everything's identical long term. Everything is that. And if they can make it owned by the state or by the local government, excuse me for that, they'll do it. They'll do it as fast as they can. That may mean taking some people and saying your house, eminent domain, your house is no longer your house, or your building is no longer your building, is owned by New York, and we're going to buy it out. I think that this is also a response to what's taking place in the larger government shift with Trump coming to power, people being upset. They rallied, let's get Zoran up there so he can piss off Trump and everybody else. But this is pretty much what's gonna go down to some degree or not, right? Some degree. Let's look at this point right here. Another point. Abolishing private land markets, catastrophic mispricing. So this happened, and I'm not making this up, guys. You can go to ChatGPT and say the effects on socialism in the overall economy and how it affects. It's very interesting. We have this level of technology. We combines all this information, but yet we still ignore it and we say it won't happen here. Okay. China, the Mao era to pre-78, no private land ownership. Cuba, land nationalized. North Korea, fully stated control housing. These are the ripple effects that take place when you build on that. We see that in California. We do see, to me personally, you could say it's a conspiracy, but I believe that people in the Palisades were misplaced. Just like modern day, if you were going to clear out a block and say, we're going to turn this into public housing, they did that in the Palisades. They just did it to people who had heavily valued properties, and they've been pushing them out. They don't care if the insurance companies are there. Excuse me. They don't care. They don't care if insurance companies can't do business. They don't care if people can't afford it. So what? We're going to own the land somewhere down the line anyway. Hey, guys, I wish I could make this up. I wish I was making it up, but I'm not. Let's go to the next point. Fourth and final point, socialization of mortgage markets. Now, that's when the price deteriorates. That's when the United States, like when you start seeing pricing decline, there's no value in it. That's typically what happens. Not socialist overall, but socialized credit risks, lobby-driven expanded lending. Government had to build the entire system. We see this echoing in 2008. When I was in the market in 2008, yeah, the market crashed because we tried to socialize the market. We try to make it where everybody can get into the market. We try to make it where we put all these rules in place into the market. Some people just don't need to own homes. You have to understand this. Some people don't need to own homes. They need to learn how to take care of that apartment, and then they can take care of the next place. That's why I'm not an advocate for selling buyers properties that don't have a reserve in place to actually take care of it, or they don't have the means to be able to take care of it. And we know, because we saw in 2008, when you combine the high interest rates along with in a high interest rate market that stayed steadily high, and the rates were adjustable, the end result, you can't stay at a high interest rate, maintain the quality of your living, and take care of your bills. Patterns you can bet on: when profit and ownership rights are removed, maintenance and new construction slow down, shortages explode. 3 repeating consequences: undersupply, decay, and shadow markets. Undersupply, decay, and shadow markets.
Congratulations, well done.
Congratulations, well done. If this is what you believe that you want in New York, I believe it is up to you to get what you want. So I don't fight it. I don't live in New York. Thank God I used to live in that part of the country. I moved out of it. I knew what was coming. God knew what was coming more than I knew what was coming. Let me reframe that. He knew what was coming. So he said, Leon, y'all need to leave. And he took me to Georgia. Yeah, and guaranteed, you can't come down to Georgia and think you're going to do that. You may get a city here and there. If they want to make Atlanta socialist, we'll see what happens with there. This is the thing. When this happens in that city, people leave. The values go down. Nobody wants to do any business there. We know what the profit is going to be, and we know that the government, that local government, is always going to have their hands in your pocket. So if you question and you want to know what's going to happen down the line with this real estate market in New York, here it is for you. And I didn't make this up. You can clearly go to ChatGPT and say, what is the results of a socialist market on the real estate market? Guys, this is where we're living in 2025. I personally believe it was just intended to give the middle finger to Trump, but at the end of the day, it's the middle finger they just gave to Trump. So we're going to see what happens. Guys, like, subscribe, follow for more content. I see you guys in the next video.